What's up, guys? It's your girl, Psycho Sister, Nagi85, Angie Cakes, Angie Marie, Angie Bob, Angie Botner, Auntie M. However you know me, you know me. And I had something on my bed. Anyways, so as you can hear, my voice is pretty much gone. I'm really tired because I took my sleep meds like 40 minutes ago. I just did a whole shoot on this and somehow it just stopped recording. So I don't know. But anyways, I was tired anyways. It's been a super long week. Today was the first day of the year that I had, or school year, that I actually had to put in like overtime. So that was a little exhausting because I was super busy. But anybody who knows where I work knows that this week is absolutely hell for me. I've obviously talked too much because I'm like out of a voice. And I need to get to bed soon, but I gotta take off this eyeliner first. So this morning, if you saw me, I've actually started a Wisdom Wednesday, and I posted a selfie because sometimes those are good in the confidence booster. But I have some Instagram followers who are or like really like, hey, you should post every day. You should like say stuff every day. You know, be active. We love hearing from you. Blah blah blah. I got about 7 different Instagram followers that I don't even know. I have 389 Instagram followers, but I don't even know these 7, and they're continuously messaging me asking for like more. I disappeared for a week to go camping, and I had people message me asking where I was. That was cool. Um, Anyways, so my words of wisdom today, I posted a selfie with a little blurb about how you need to focus on the things you can't or you can control and let go of the things that you can't control. If you've got a person or a situation or a project or a car or anything in your life, messages, sorry. Anything in your life that is you're putting your effort into that isn't like being productive or is not giving you the same or anything back for it, don't waste your time. You know what? If let's say you have a friend and you're like trying to be their friend and you're there for them and you're cool and they're never there for you, then and you're so afraid of like losing them, you're not losing anything if they're not there for you. So just remember that. I know it's hard. I know it's tough. I'm going through shit, obviously, and on top of that, all my work shit. So stuff. Try not to cuss. But anyways, I'm just about to get ready to watch Kin Cab's You're Enough video. I flash fast because that's a mess up there because my makeup in my morning. I hate morning. I wish I could work like noon, then I have plenty of time. But I'm a little starting to sweat a little bit because my fan's off because I was afraid you guys wouldn't be able to hear me if it wasn't. So for this week's I'm Enough, I know I told you guys on Sunday when I vlogged that it would be about my son, and I've really like contemplated, especially today. I was like, man, I don't want to do it. It's too much. I don't know if I want to. And then I realized, I was thinking about it today and I said, you know what? In order to love yourself and to value your, how enough you are or value your worth, you have to remember where you came from, the good and the bad. And my son is definitely, he was a blessing. Absolutely loved him. And a lot of shit changed because of him. But there's moments that I regret. There's some things that people don't even know. There's literally, I think, 2 people that I fully disclosed. I fully disclosed everything. One of those people are no longer in my life because I cut that off, and one of them is no longer in my life because he chose to cut that off. So this story is going to be raw, real, and uncut. That's from a show or something. But anyway, so finding out that I was pregnant, I was 16 years old. My mom knew I was sexually active with the guy that I ended up staying with for the 10 years. We got married and all that. So she pretty much demanded that I go get on birth control. And I'm like, cool, fine. Well, I gotta turn this fan on a little bit. Sorry, guys. I can't see it. Anyways, she demanded I got on birth control. And I went to the doctor, and they tested me for STDs and pregnancy, and my pregnancy result was positive. STDs were negative. They ended up getting him out of the waiting room to come back and talk to me. And I looked at him and I started crying and I said, I'm pregnant. And he hugged me and he held me in the greatest hug, and I said to him in that moment, you don't have to stay. If you don't want this, you don't have to stay, but I'm keeping him. And my thought was, we were only 16 years old. I didn't want him to feel like I was like trapping him or he didn't have a choice, because he did. There would have been no hard feelings. It all happened pretty much by accident. I ran away from my house. I went to his house. One thing led to another. I had missed a few days of birth control, and bam, that happened. So I don't regret it happening. I do wish it would have happened a little later in my life, but another thing that bugs me is that after being on the depot shop for so long, I'm not even sure I can have kids. And that kills me inside. Like, people don't even know how bad that kills me. So when I hear people say, like, I wish I didn't have kids, like, that's the one thing that'll make me hate you. Like, seriously, if I hear you say that. Like, I could get over it eventually, but, like, that's the worst fucking thing to say. Because some people wish they had their kids. But anyways, I hate that word, but I'm so tired. I look like a zombie right now. I look like I'm high as shit, but I'm not. I wish I was. Just kidding. Psych. Anyways, so the pregnancy was definitely interesting. There were weird cravings, like salt and vinegar chips, which I hate, and chicken nuggets with mustard, which I hate mustard. I ate so many mashed potatoes those 9 months. I'm pretty sure I would bleed mashed potatoes if you cut me. And Pepsi Code Blue. I don't even know why. And hot chocolate. I drink hot chocolate so fast that, like, I would literally make myself sick. It was terrible. But the pregnancy went pretty good. And then I went in to have him, and I was put on Pitocin. And because they had to take me in because I was past my due date, the Pitocin wasn't working. And after about 2 days, my doctor came in, and she tested whatever. And she said, Angie, you're not able to deliver a baby at full term. And I'm like, the fuck? Well, what am I going to do? She's like, your pelvic bones and your canal is too narrow. It would only allow for a midterm baby at best. And she said, so you're unfortunately going to have C-sections. And I'm like, I was devastated. I literally felt like I could do nothing right in my life. The first thing that came to my mind was, oh great, I'm not even a real fucking woman. I can't even have a baby right. That's that negativity and that depression and stuff I've carried forever. And after a while, damn, I'm wheezy. After a while, the doctor came in and said that they couldn't do the C-section that night or in the morning because the Pitocin needed time to wear off. But they could get me in the afternoon. Well, then they had an emergency C-section, so I had to wait. The Pitocin wasn't working. The contractions were terrible. I thought I was dying. I did not want to go through it anymore. Finally, they go to take me back. They tell me I can have one person. I'm like, nah, nope. I need my mom and him. So they end up letting them both come back. During the situation, the Pitocin hadn't actually worn off. So basically, when they tried to pull Deshaun out, my uterus would like tug a war back in. So the pain was so much, like I tore down the little sheet thing that protects you from seeing everything. So they pretty much put me under. So I didn't get to hear the first cries. I didn't get to see the umbilical cord cut. I didn't get to see any of that stuff, like, at all. So I was out. Marcus actually went with the baby, which honestly, that was great. Like, he left me with my mom, and he went with the baby, which makes me really happy. He took him to the nursery and whatever. He was with him the whole time. He got to experience all of that, so I'm super glad for that. Well, I finally come to in a waiting room, or not a waiting room, it's like a holding room, I guess, a recovery room. And there's nobody in there, and this nurse keeps coming in, and she's like doing stuff, and I said, hey, can I see my baby? In a minute. Hey, where's my baby? Oh, he's in the nursery. Okay, is he okay? Yeah, he's fine. Can I see my baby? Finally, I gave up on that, and I said, fine, can I see my family? So they let some of my family members in, and I was getting a little anxious, and finally I see Marcus walking in backwards. And my first thought was, wow, I really picked a winner. And not long after, I realized that he was pulling in the little bassinet thing in the hospitals with our baby. And he rushes over to the side of the bed, and he has the baby right there, but there's a blanket wrapped around him, so I can't see him. And he's like, are you okay? Oh my gosh, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. He's like, oh my God, I was so worried. And I'm like, hey, I just want to see the baby. Like, I'm good. Can I see him? So he picks him up, and he hands him to me, and there's a blanket over his face. So I can't really see him. And I lift the blanket up, and in that moment, I realized he was so gorgeous. I mean, he was literally perfection. And I put the blanket back down, and I looked at my mom, and I said, He's not mine. And my mom's like, what? And Deshaun said, no. Or Marcus said, no, he's ours. I followed him the entire way. And I said, no, he's too beautiful to be for me. That was the first time the postpartum kicked in or was noticeable. And for a long time I felt like shit about that, but I really felt like he was just so precious and so perfect. So my family, like, we get all situated and stuff, and I can't be with the baby alone because the morphine. They had me on morphine because of the C-section. And the family goes to go get food, which was fine because I kind of needed a few minutes anyways. And I told my favorite nurse, Jen, I said, I'm feeling really sad right now. I was like, I just feel like I want him back. Like, I want him, this being away from him, I don't know why, but I can't handle it. And she's like, oh, honey, that's totally normal. You know, you were attached to this baby for 9 months. He was inside you. You could protect him. You could take care of him. You made sure he's fine. And now he's, like, out there, so the motherly instinct's kicking in. It's okay. Well, just then one of the other nurses came in. They were about to do shift change, and Jen was finishing up. She would, like, arrange all my stuff and whatever because I'm a scatterbug. And I said, Jen, I'm scared. And she said, of what? And I said, that he's going to end up like my brother. She said, what happened to your brother? I said, well, he passed away from SIDS. And the other nurse pipes in and she said, oh, hosh posh, or whatever she said. She goes, that doesn't happen twice in the same family line. You know, they've done lots of research and da-da-da-da. So I felt a little better, but I was still kind of feeling, you know, like bad, but I couldn't figure out why. We make it through all that situation. He finally gets to come home after a scare where he was in ICU for 4 days for literally, I'm pretty sure it was just because I was on state medical, because like, oh, he's turning purple, which he wasn't. His lips were a little discolored, but I'd asked my doctor about that. She said it's because of the pigment and the fact that he was a mixed baby, that the skin pretty much would have to like even out, because even like his little butt was purple sometimes. Like it was like, he had like this little chubby butt. But anyways, so they ended up keeping him for a couple days. I finally got to bring him home. And there's so many stories to share about him that I don't want this to be like a 40-minute video. So if anything I say you want to know about or you want to hear about, like you want to hear about the homecoming or anything like that, definitely make the comments down below and I'll make another video for that. So I get him home and everything's fine. Marcus is going to work and I'm in school, so it's no big deal. Marcus is in school too, so it's, you know, I take the baby with me. My teacher would watch him. I was in a special program at one of our alternative schools. And after a couple days, after a couple days, I started feeling like I couldn't take care of him. I felt like I wasn't good enough to be his mom. And I felt like I was probably just going to screw him all up. And I didn't mean to. And I don't even fully remember everything. But I started distancing myself from him, from everybody. And after about a week of feeling this way, I finally told my mom. I said, Mom, something's wrong. I want to be a good mom, and I love him, I know I do, but I feel like I don't deserve him. And I was so afraid of what she was going to say. She called the doctor, and the next day I had an appointment. And this is a new doctor that I hadn't had for my whole life. I only pretty much had her during my pregnancy. And she said, I looked through your records and I see that you have battled with depression in the past. And I said, yeah, I have, but I haven't been on any meds or anything because I don't like them. And she said, you may need them because what you're going through is severe postpartum depression. And I just cried. And I told her how terrible it was of me, that I'm his mother, and I don't even want to hold him. I feed him and I do all the things I should, but I just felt like it wasn't good enough. And I felt like I didn't know what I felt, but I tried so hard. And and she put me on some meds. I can't remember what it was now, but she told me to take a couple weeks. So I sucked it up, and I'd spend a lot of time crying. Marcus was working, and when he'd be gone, I'd take care of the baby, because it's never like I didn't love him or I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I'd feed him and I'd play with him, and then as soon as he laid down for a nap, I would just sit there and watch him, and I would cry because I just felt so helpless, and I didn't know where to turn, and I felt like I was a terrible person, a terrible woman, and a terrible mother. Sorry, I keep looking down. Anyways, um, so after, I don't even remember how long, it was probably like almost 3 weeks. One morning I woke up and everything was different. I was like, I should have brought tissue. I woke up in a really good mood, and I was like laying there, and Marcus had the day off, and so he was still in bed. And I lay there looking at the ceiling, and I'm like, man, today's going to be a good day. Wait, what? So I got up, and Deshaun was still sleeping. And I was like, I start like kind of poking him a little bit. I'm like, hey. Finally get him to start stretching. And he's like, ugh. He's so cute. And I'm like, come on, wake up. You want to play? And so I get him up. And it's about the time I normally got him up anyways. And I took him upstairs. And of course I made him a bottle because, oh my gosh, he was always hungry. And so I made him a bottle. And I fed him his bottle. And then I just played with him. Like, probably for like 3 hours before, he ditched me because he had to take a nap or whatever. But I played with him, and then when he fell asleep on the floor while we were playing. And I didn't want to pick him up because, like, he was the type of baby that, he was a good baby and he'd sleep, but, like, if you even moved him a little bit, he was up. So I didn't want to move him, so I curled up right next to him. And I kind of had him, like, in my arm, and I was just sleeping with him. And that was probably the greatest nap I've ever taken. I woke up, and I had, my hair was down. I wake up to my hair kind of being pulled. And I open my eyes, and he's just looking at me, just giggling. And I'm like, what are you doing? And we play, and everything was cool. And from that moment on, my entire life was different with him. I was excited to be his mom. I was happy. I felt like I was doing everything right. He was gaining the right amount of weight. He was perfectly healthy. His APGAR scales were all good when he came out. Like, I started thinking, like, man, I'm not a bad person. Like, I just had a problem that I needed help with. And I'm a great mom, and things were going really good. And one night, me and Marcus, he had to work late, and so I didn't eat dinner with my family because I knew he'd eat when he got home, and I wanted to eat with him. And we ordered pizza, and Deshaun was at the point where formula just wasn't enough. I mean, he was eating like 64 ounces of feeding, and it was like pretty much the bottle was never out of his mouth. So we ordered pizza, and we had started him on some softer foods. Like, we let him have the softer stuff. My doctor said it was fine. Wick said it wasn't, but fuck them, they don't know. So my doctor said it was fine as long as it was stuff that was easy to digest, whatever. Well, he used to love, like, licking things. So I'd always, like, give him, like, a piece of pineapple or pepperoni or just, like, little things to kind of get his palate going or whatever. We ordered pepperoni and pineapple pizza, and I let him lick the pineapple. He got super excited. Then I let him lick the pepperoni, and he loved that. Well, then I took his binky, and I put it in the tomato sauce, and he really loved that. So I was like, it was fun. He's giggling, laughing. And then I just fed him some baby food because I didn't want him to get sick. So me and Marcus were eating pizza, and I made a comment to him. I said, man, my life is so much different now. Like, everything is so great. And I'm like, before Deshaun, I was probably going to go to jail or something because I was doing some bad shit. I said, but my life's perfect right now. My family's getting along. Our baby is happy. We're happy. I'm doing really well in school. You're doing good in school. You're going to work. Everything's perfect. That night, we went to go to bed, and he made a really stinky diaper. And Marcus was changing it, and I was kind of teasing the baby. I'm like, Deshaun, you got a stinky butt. I can smell you over here. And things were great. Well, at some point he woke up in his crib. He always had problems sleeping alone. So I'd asked the doctor, could he sleep in the bed? She said yes, as long as there wasn't a roll hazard. You don't want him to roll off. You don't want you to roll on him. So Marcus would usually sleep kind of like diagonal. So his head was on the bed, but then we had like mattresses on the floor at this point. Because when I was pregnant, I fell out of the bed a couple times. And so we took the frame off. Like, forget that. So he would sleep kind of like Kitty Wampus so that the baby was over or had enough room. Well, I remember I fell asleep and I woke up in the back of my hair. I had these little pulls on the back of my hair. And I turn around and Deshaun's just giggling. I mean, he is just laughing. And it's probably about 1 o'clock maybe. So I poke him in his tummy and I'm like, Deshaun, it's not playtime. Like, go to sleep, chubby buns. And so then I lay there and I held him and I sung to him. And I was like funny annoyed. Like, I wasn't really annoyed, but I was like, oh my gosh, go to sleep. Because he literally just laid there and just like giggled and like whatever. So finally I fell asleep. And I don't exactly remember what happened. But I remember waking up. And I remember jumping up by the washing machine. We were in the basement, which is also a laundry room. And I jumped up and I started screaming. I'm like, Marcus, something's wrong with Deshaun. Marcus, wake up, wake up, wake up. And I don't remember any other conversation with Marcus or what happened, but when I saw him, I just knew he was gone. And I knew he wasn't breathing. And I ran up the stairs. And for some reason I can't explain, my first thought was, if he's gone, I don't want to live. And I knew there were some sleeping pills and some other things in the bathroom. And for some crazy reason, instead of doing what I should have done, I was about to do what I shouldn't. Oddly enough, my dad was up. It's about probably 4 or 5 in the morning, maybe 6 o'clock in the morning. I can't remember. But it was a different time than my dad was up. He was up and he was cooking eggs. And he said, Angie, what's going on? And I said, Dad, the baby's not breathing. And he's like, did you call 911? I'm like, no. He's like, get the phone, call 911. So I'm like, I felt so stupid in that moment. Because I'm like, why didn't I think about that? So I grabbed the phone, I call 911. They ask me where the baby is. I tell the lady that he's downstairs. She's like, okay, go get him and put him on a flat surface. And then she had me swoop my finger in his mouth and his throat to make sure there was nothing in there. And then she walked me through CPR, which I already knew how to do. I was certified. And when I opened his onesie, he had thumbprints like on his tummy, because the day before I was trying to give him a bath in the sink and he kicked his feet, so he kind of went backwards, and I didn't want him to smack his head, so I grabbed him tighter, and I didn't mean to, like, obviously bruise him, but I did. And when I saw those bruises, I told the lady on the phone, I said, it's my fault. And she said, what? And she said, honey, don't worry about that, just keep going. I said, no, there's bruises, they're for me. And she's like, honey, the EMTs will be there, just perform. So she has me perform mouth-to-mouth CPR to my baby. And all of a sudden, I can't handle it anymore. And I tell her, I said, I can't do this. And she said, okay, honey, the fire department is almost there. They'll be there in just a minute. Go ahead and put the phone down and go find somebody to help you. Is there anybody home? Like, yeah, my dad's out in the other room. She's like, go get him. Well, as I came out to the living room, I see my mom come running across the yard. And then I see the fire truck pull up. And I walked into the living room. And I felt so lost. Like, I didn't know what to do or say. And my dad walked over and gave me a big hug. And the EMTs come running in. And so I rushed in before them. And I'm standing in the doorway before the back door. And I watched them pull out the little, like, pumper. And I watched them trying to I watched them trying to fix it. And the shortest EMT comes over and says, "Ma'am, what's your name?" And I said, "Angie." And he said, "Angie, your baby's dead." Just like that. And I pushed past him, and I went to the living room, and my dad just caught me, and he just hugged me, and my mom was there, and Marcus came running through because he was behind me. Or somewhere. He was in the kitchen, I think. And I just cried. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to handle it. I went to the bathroom and threw up. As soon as I came out, they had investigators there that needed to talk to me separately from my family, and they asked you all sorts of questions. What did you feed him? What did you eat? Have you smoked around him? Have you and your husband fought? Has there been any abuse to the baby? All these questions that lead my mind to think, wow, maybe me and Marcus arguing a couple months ago did this, or maybe because I wasn't able to take care of him for the first few weeks, few weeks, maybe I did this. Maybe it was my fault. And all this stuff is going through my head, and it was literally the worst fucking day of my life. And I'm obviously still not over it. I mean, time heals nothing. My son was my everything. And he always will be. But as time went, and my friends and my family held me up, and my mom wouldn't let me be alone. She was so afraid that I'd do something. And eventually I started, going back to work and living my life the best way I could, and I had to learn to cope, and some days it's harder than others, but it's been years, 12 or 15 years now. That's my baby. 15 years old, he'd be turning this year. I can't imagine what I'd be doing with a 15-year-old. But anyways, so going through what I went through, not just being a teen mom, because that was hard on its own, but losing my son. I've lost my brother. I've lost my grandparents. I've lost so many people that sometimes it's easy to forget. Sometimes it's easy to forget how much I've been through when I'm going through things like I did over the summer, or through work things or whatever. And it's so easy to get caught up in, wow, I can't handle this. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. And then I have to remember, I survived everything that I've been through. Everything. And this was way worse than any breakup, than any bad day at work, than anything that could ever happen to me. Losing my son was the worst. And if I could survive through that, and I'm able to still love and care and, be there for people who have similar problems or different problems, I'm a hell of a person. And that's one of the reasons that I'm enough. So before I end this, because I know I got a little lengthy, so anybody who actually watches it, I appreciate it. I want to show you a few pictures of him because I love him to death. And I don't look at this very often because it's hard. Still. And I literally just realized what this photo album says. It says, mothers hold their children's hands for a while, but their hearts forever. I don't know if you're going to be able to see him very well because I only have an iPhone, but that's my son. His first day. I'm going to try to find some good pictures. Some of these are of like me and Marcus and me and my brothers when I was little. Like I wanted to go tear out the pictures like of me and Marcus when we split up, but because it's a part of Deshaun and it was Deshaun's life, I don't want to. God, I was young. I gained a lot of weight with my pregnancy. I was super cute before. I'm getting back there. Okay, these are baby shots. I'm looking for actual pictures of him. I don't know if you're going to see most of these, though. Like, this is me the day that I went in to be induced. 17-year-old me rocking the bandana because I knew things were about to get real sweaty. This is me, Marcus. Let's see. I don't know if you can see him with the crinkles. Let me see. There's my mom and Deshaun. Clayton and Deshaun. And then Dalton and Deshaun. Me sleeping when right after they said he had to go back to ICU. And Clayton, Rocky and Deshaun, my mom's best friend at the time, Anise and Deshaun. That's my favorite nurse, Jen and Deshaun. This is one of my favorite pictures because the way he looked up at me. My grandma, rest in peace, Grandma. I love you to death. My grandpa and Deshaun. This is Christmas morning. I was so tired that day. I'm cutting out some of these because there's me feeding him. I'll show you a couple more. This is when he got his first boots. So adorbs. There's my doctor, Dr. Nguyen. She was the greatest. And then me and my baby. My baby on my the couch in my grandma's house. This is when we went to Seattle. This is one of the only pictures I have of him smiling. And that's it. I don't have very many pictures because I guess we didn't take as many as we should have. But anyways, that's my son and that's my story. And the fact that I can live through all of that is a contribution that I'm enough. I'm going to wrap this up. I don't know if I'll do a video next week for I'm Enough because we're going camping, which I'm so excited for. I need the trip. If you have any questions, comments, words of support, I love the support I've been getting, so I appreciate it. If there's anything you want to know more of or anybody who has questions. A lot of people have questions about things like this, the postpartum depression, the teen pregnancy, the losing of my child, or learning to live with the grief, any of that stuff. If you have questions or need advice on relatable situations or any situations, hit me up. You know, my Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm most active on Facebook and YouTube. I am active on Instagram, kind of on Twitter, and kind of on Snapchat. So until next time, remember that you're enough. And I'll catch you on the flip side.